Hello, Bumbadadabum here, and I'm bringing you this narration between MikeDecIsHere and fruittartare. It's an LU battle, and fruittartare is using a very stally and defensive team. You can see the Claydol over there, that's UU now, but this was before it was UU, and yeah, that's the only odd Pokemon, but for the rest, he's using a very defensive team. Yeah, the only thing that can actually be offensive would be a Munchlax or the Slowking, and those would probably be boosting sets and all-out attackers. So, yeah, we're gonna expect some stall from that team. Then we have MikeDec, and MikeDec is just using the standard team. You have the Steelix for walling and Spiritomb. They're for alligators, with of course a boosting sweeper, together with the Bouffalons. And then we have the Rotom cut over there to be a Scarfer. But the Scarf wouldn't be that necessary because the only fruittartare isn't using a fast Pokemon, so the Scarf isn't that useful. So he will probably trick that away to someone, but we'll just see. Let's get into the battle. So fruittartare leads off with his Mandibuzz, and MikeDec leads off with his Rotom. So now fruittartare immediately switches out to Ferocity to take any hit, but MikeDec predicts that and goes for the trick to trick the Ferocity, a Choice Scarf. And you might know, but Choice Scarf Ferocity isn't the best Pokemon. So he's just going to set up a layer of spikes as MikeDec switches into his Steelix to get up his rocks, because even though they can be spun away by the Claydol, rocks are a very important thing to have because fruittartare has the Mandibuzz, which takes damage from it. So now he switches into his Feraligators, fruittartare goes into his Slowking, and yeah, he's just gonna go back into his Rotom to go for the Leaf Storm or the Volt Switch, but he gets Dragon Tail into his Steelix, which isn't the end of the world, because Steelix is very bulky and will be able to take this Scald and roar him out into Mandibuzz, and this is a great thing because Mandibuzz can't really touch Steelix, and too bad he doesn't have the Stone Edge or Rock Slide or whatever rock move, because the bad thing he has to hit is the Gyro Ball, which will only do 10% of damage, and 10% isn't that damaging. So now he gets roared into his Bouffalons, and he's just gonna go for the Head Charge to get some damage off. He gets taunted. What he should have done is just set up a Swords Dance while he could. But now he's going to go for the Mega Horn, because even though it has less base power, it hits, it still hits pretty hard, and it hits mostly Ferocity. It hits that a lot harder. Or it's the only thing he has, I believe, that can actually hit the Misdreavus. But let's go ahead and we'll see that the Steelix gets burnt by the Misdreavus, and this isn't a great thing because the Steelix is primarily a physical Pokemon, and it's a wall, so it won't appreciate that burn at all. It's still better than the Feraligator or the Bouffalon getting the burn, but it's not pleasant. And here he misses a Dragon Tail, which doesn't really matter because yeah, you can just do it next turn. It's not like Feraligator would be able to KO. And here MikeDec just made a very ballsy play by going for the Swords Dance, while Slowking just last turn went for the Dragon Tail. But he thought, well, just go for the Slack Off, and it worked out really nicely. And now he goes into his Gardevoir, which traces the Regenerator, which is great, because now even if it has some damage, it will be able to recover that up. And that's good for him. So now he takes a Skull, takes that really nicely, because this most likely is a specially defensive Gardevoir with Heal Bell, as we can see, and it also has the Wish. So now he gets knocked into his Feraligator again, and that's gonna die to Stealth Rocks and Spikes. So it's now a so it's now a 5/6, I believe. Yeah, for fruittartare, but fruittartare is yeah, his strategy is mostly setting up hazards, which has been blocked really effectively by the choice scarf from Pharaohseed, because now he can only have one layer of spikes. Why? Yeah, he probably would have had much more of a power play position if he had 3 layers of spikes. Mostly because we have the Rotom Cut is the only thing that actually can actually resist the spikes. Actually, doesn't take any damage from the spikes, and only takes 12.5% from the Stealth Rocks. And here is the Calm Mind War. You see, we have a Curse Munchlax and a Calm Mind Spiritomb. Yeah, these are the kind of circumstances that make up for a pretty long battle. And I'm gonna tell you, this is a pretty long battle, because as you can see, at +3, a Dark Pulse only does 28%, and that's nothing because they can both rest up. So here fruittartare makes the first switch into his Pharaohseed, and Pharaohseed, he doesn't have the Inviolite anymore, so he still takes 30% from the Dark Pulse. But now he switches into his Buffalon, predicting the Leech Seed, and he predicts that really nicely. And now fruittartare makes a nice prediction to go into his Mystery Bus. Of course, yeah, he's immune to the head charge and can Will-O-Wisp the Buffalon, which renders it completely useless. So now Mystery Bus keeps going for the Pain Split, predicting MikeDec to switch, but he doesn't. And here he goes for the Shadow Ball, which of course does nothing, because Buffalon is a normal type, and normal types take no damage from Ghost type attacks. For some reason, actually. I don't know why they put that in there, maybe to balance out normal types, I don't know. But this is gonna get really long, because fruittartare still doesn't want to switch anything. And now he switches, which is really interesting, because he could have left the Mystery Fuzz in to die, because now he has to spin away the hazards, and I believe Mystery Fuzz still doesn't have any sort of recovery, so I don't know why he did that in the first place. Could have just left it in to die and get the Buffalon with him, and get some more switch initiative going. So now he's got versus Claydol, and Claydol's gonna get Will-O-Wisp. So and Claydol goes for Toxic. So now they've swapped statuses. So in the long run now, with Toxic, it will be more damaging. But wait, God of War has the Heal Bell, but he does waste a turn by doing that. So Claydol gets a free chance to spin away the rocks. And yeah, now Mystery Fuzz can live with his 3% of HP, which will not make a difference in the long run. So now we see another Calm Mind War coming, but nope, it has been averted by the Pharaohseed coming in, and he goes for Leech Seed, which of course, yeah, Rotom Cut. He doesn't care about Leech Seeds. So now he Volt switches out again into his Spiritomb, and I'm gonna speed this part up, because this is the longest part of the battle. Which Pokemon will attack the first, and which Pokemon will deal the most damage? I think I can pretty safely say that Spiritomb will do the greater damage in this show-off of boosting potential, but the Munchlax is bulkier, so it's a very interesting thing, and Spiritomb is here the first to rest, and I believe he could have min-maxed to take out the Munchlax. I think he could, but he didn't. So now he sleep talks and gets Calm Mind, which is actually it's decent. It's better than getting Rest, because he's gonna Calm Mind again, and now I believe he's at +4. Yeah, that's quite a lot. I think he will be able to sweep the team, but so would the Munchlax. So it's getting pretty exciting right now, because which of the two is going to die? Because pretty much this is the game going on here, and Munchlax has just died, so now he can safely mop up the rest of fruittartare's team. Yeah, GG. fruittartare forfeits, and MikeDec wins with a 5-0. So I hope you enjoyed this battle, and I will see you around. Bye.